I am, or we are, just right on the edge of London Fields, very, very close to London Fields Station. This part of the park joins on what was originally the Drovers route between, I guess, Spitalfields Market up to sort of Hertfordshire, where people used to bring cattle down and the sheep down to be slaughtered back in the day. But it creates, there's a whole kind of cycle route that goes up that way as well. So a lot of people are coming through here on their way to work or on their way to Broadway Market, or so basically we're on a through route, which is a great place to have this van where we sell treats for dogs. There's a pub just over there, there's a market just down behind us, so it's actually a really, really good spot to sit all day, and that's what I do. I sit in the van, or if it's sunny and warm, I sit just outside of the van, so it's quite an outdoorsy job. And I'm here just for whenever people want to buy a treat for the dog.
So for a dog, this is heaven.
It is absolute heaven. Yeah, it's absolute heaven. In fact, very many dog owners tell me when I see them in other places that even when the van is closed and even at night, the dogs always come here, sniffing around. Just can't believe that it's closed.
Brilliant. But you need to manage the dogs.
Dogs are very easy to manage. I mean, if you've got a treat in your hand, a dog will do more or less anything. I mean, I'm a dog walker and I'm a dog owner as well, so I've had a lot of experience with dogs, and also most dogs are actually just really, really happy little creatures. They want to do nice things for you, or they want a little treat or whatever. They're all waggly and smiley, which is one of the things that makes this job really wonderful, because it's either the smiley dogs or their smiley owners who kind of come into my world when I'm here. But also we attract a lot of people who don't even have dogs, who just want to come and have a chat because they see us here so regularly. I think we've become part of the kind of, well, we've become part of the community, most definitely, but also very, very trusted part of the community, and we're here every single day.
You said some people come just for a chat.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a social service too.
This is very, very interesting you say that, because my boss and I have been chatting about that and saying that actually we realise we're a very, very important resource for the community. So yes, we have lots of people chatting. There are some people who, they're on their way to work or on their way from work and they'll stop and have a chat. There are people who are homeless who come here and they'll have a chat. There are people who have, very, very different and very, very marginalised lives, but they know that they can always come here. There'll always be a smiling face, and whereas they might not be able to buy stuff from us for if they have a dog, so our clients know about this. So right here, in fact, we've got a donations box, and so people drop toys and things in there. Every now and then it gets emptied. We take the stuff there, or it goes into storage.
So it's got little treats. There's 3 or 4 toys in there. There's a couple of balls of rolled up string. Are those chew balls?
Those are rope toys, yeah. Those are rope toys.
Is that good for their teeth?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'll show you. Yeah, so it's just a really nice, safe and easy thing, and it's really good, for example, for teething puppies and things like that.
I noticed the toys are different colours. Do dogs like colours?
Did I read somewhere that there are certain, I can't remember which colours they can't see that well, but at the end of the day it's for the owners. I smile when I see owners choosing things for their dogs. It's not for the dog, it's for the owners. When they're buying a coat or when they're buying a collar, the dog doesn't really care, to be honest. What it looks like, that's really for the owners, for their styling.
Dogs and their owners, always a point of fascination. When you see a dog and then you look at the owner, you always do that. It's always like giving someone an up and down, and you think, okay, I think I know who they are according to their dog. Do you do that?
Do you know what? As you were saying that, I was thinking of some of my clients who actually look just like their dogs. I mean, literally the hairstyling and everything, or it might be the moustache or whatever. You look at the dog and the dog's got the same bristly moustache, and it's very, very sweet. So I'm assuming the owners choose the dog because it reflects something in them.
The van we're sitting in, it's covered in things from floor to ceiling. Leads, bowls for drinking, treats,
We've got
bags.
stuff for cats as well.
We've
We've got stuff for cats as well. Yeah, we have toys for cats, food.
Did the dogs know that? So is this a treat place, or is this an everyday, this is what dogs need place?
I mean, when I describe to people where I work, I say I work in a dog treats van. There's nothing in here that a dog absolutely needs that you can't get elsewhere. But the treats we sell are basically part of the meat-eating industry. So it's waste products from that industry. So it's very, very sustainable in that respect. It's all very, very natural treats. As you can see, it's parts of animal. There's things like cow's trachea, there's rabbit ears, pig's ears, cow's ears. All of these things are waste from the slaughtering industry. And it's all very, very healthy. this stuff is not highly processed at all. It's just literally sort of dried.
Being here, you've got a window onto the world. What do you see out of this doorway of the van?
I've seen amazing things. So there's all those bikes over there. A lot of people come and they use one of those bikes, or they'll arrive here and dock their bikes, and then they'll stand right there by the gate and they'll look on their phone to figure out where their friends are or where they're supposed to be going from here, or they'll come off the train just to my right. And as they're standing there, some person on a very fast bike will whiz past and snatch their phone. So I've seen lots of phone snatching.
Oh, goodness.
I've seen a lot of that. I've seen on one occasion, which was absolutely amazing, we were all sitting out there, me and a couple of my friends, and somebody had their phone snatched. Somebody else who happened to be near there just screamed, "If someone could give me a bike, I can catch that guy." So someone just gave this guy a bike. He took off, and we just all went out there and we just watched this guy he was on a Lime bike, the guy who'd snatched the bike, the phone, chased by a guy on a racing bike, and he caught him. And he got the phone back and brought the phone back to the guy here who'd had his phone stolen, and like everybody cheered. So I don't know what happened to the guy at the end, the guy who'd stolen it. I hope he was arrested. I don't know what happened. But I see a lot of that. I see a lot of unfortunate stuff as well. The public toilets are right there. The train station is right there. So just to my left is the public toilets. Just to my right is the train station, London Fields train station. And a load of people who are, I would say, people who struggle with substance misuse or use. They sort of gather in this area and just outside the entrance to the station. So the way I pictured it is somebody's getting off that train with drugs. They're all kind of hovering around here, and you can see all these sort of little interactions going on, and then everybody sort of scurries off to the toilets. You know, that's a really, really sort of sad, it's a very sad sort of aspect to our modern life, modern city life. But that's something I see every day, and, you know, I can only have compassion for people like that. You know, people who found themselves in those circumstances.
And it sounds like it's regular. It's
every day, every single day. And as a dog owner and a dog walker, it's one of the things that, this is a very sad aspect of that whole scenario I've just described, because very often people who are using drugs will need, to excuse my language, they'll need to poop quite quickly. After 3:30 in the winter, those toilets are closed by the local council, so there's nowhere to poop except there in the woods. So if you're a dog owner, I don't know why dogs find things like that attractive, I really don't, but I know of a number of people whose dogs have ended up needing veterinary treatment because they've eaten poop that's been laced with drugs, basically. I know somebody whose dog died from that. So that's a really unfortunate thing, and sometimes I think maybe we should be selling. We sell poop bags here for dogs. We've got some gigantic poop bags right up there, which are for big dogs. Like, there are a few Great Danes who are my clients. And but I sometimes think, why can't humans do that? It would be really, really. I understand that if you've got to go wherever you are, and it can't be very dignified, you know, having nowhere of your own to use facilities. But I just wish people would use a bag, either pick it up, even if it's a Sainsbury's bag, but don't just leave it there. But I guess, you know, they're not thinking about that at the time.
What about the joyful things out of this doorway as you look down this street? You've got trees on one side. It's got a fair amount of footfall with people walking, bicycles. Do you see moments of happiness too?
I see beautiful moments of happiness. I see wedding parties. Hackney Town Hall is just up there. And a lot of people, when they get married, they come down through here, past those trees you've just described, into the entrance, and they're going, I'm guessing, down to Broadway Market or maybe into London Fields. So I've seen some extraordinary wedding parties where, on one occasion, and it was actually February the 14th, every member of that wedding party, and there were probably about 150 of them, they were all wearing red. And that looked really amazing. I've had little children popping in here and saying, "What? No ice cream?" But there is an ice cream van who's sometimes here. He's over there. He parks just over there, and he and I have lovely chats. I mean, the other role this little van has is as a base for example, if people lose stuff in the park or if people find stuff in the park, it comes to this van. We had an Apple Watch here until 2 days ago, that somebody found and brought to us because it was found out in the street. And, you know, about a week later, a woman turned up. And the reason it took her a week is because she actually lives in Ipswich and she was down here on a trip. She dropped her phone. My boss was able to figure out, because he has an Apple phone as well, how to connect with the owner. And so a week later, she collected it.
So you're a lost property van as well as a dog treat van.
It seems that we've become that, yeah, we've become that.
And a social service trap point.
Yeah. And for example, recently, I mean in this area, probably most areas where there are dogs and dog walkers, there are various different WhatsApp groups relating. So there's the London Fields dog group, there's a Haggerston Park dog group, there's a dog safety group, and it just happens that a little dog, gorgeous little whippet called Ash went missing a couple of weeks ago, and she's still a puppy effectively, but she loves coming to this van. I found out about it just before midnight and I couldn't go to sleep because I had a dog that was identical to her and it just triggered me. So I got up out of my bed, I live just down there, and I came and opened the van because I thought she loves this van so much, and she went missing just from the top of the fields. Anyway, she didn't come back here, but the next day everybody on that WhatsApp group, everybody was out looking for her, and somebody had seen a dog in Hackney Marshes, and literally the next morning we found her in Hackney Marshes, and it was simply because that group of people who own dogs all got together, every sighting was put into the group, so we kind of knew where she had been seen, and literally we found her, and that was a miracle.
So having been missing overnight, the whippet was searching herself for her owner, or was confused?
It's very, very interesting. We don't know how she got to where she got because she's never been there before. But her owner is a marathon runner and had been running there the previous Saturday. She went missing, I think, on a Tuesday, and we found her on the Wednesday morning. Her owner on the Saturday had been running this very, very particular part of Hackney Marshes, and that is where the dog was found. So we have no idea. I mean, whippets are sight and scent hounds. It's possible she caught a whiff somehow. I don't know. They are amazing. I've got 2 whippets, and I can be walking with them down a road with a brick wall on one side that is waist high, and they'll start sniffing and immediately jump onto the wall, and there'll be a tiny piece of bread on the other side of the wall. But that's how sensitive their noses are. So it's possible. We literally have no idea how she found herself over there, but actually it's a really good place to be because there's no roads. She wasn't going to get run over by a car. But we found her looking like a tiny little frightened deer in the dappled woods, and we managed to coax her. This amazing person was sat down. We all had smelly food with us. We had smoked salmon, people had bacon, people had cheese, I had some stinky sticks with me, and we just sat very, very, very still. And eventually she went to this guy who had been sitting there for quite a while, and he was able eventually to put his hand on her harness. And it was just quite remarkable, how, it just galvanises. Because actually we would want people to do that if our dog went missing.
So what are you picking up?
I am currently buying the dried fish skin and the salmon fingers, and this sample dry skin cubes as well.
Oh, don't buy the sample.
I was going
to
to say
packet.
that's.
Does that mean that? Oh, yeah, that's for people to sample. Sorry. The next one. Look at that. There you go.
There you go.
There's a full bag.
Perfect. Thank you.
And these are treats, or these are staples for your dog?
It's a good question. Bit of both. Bit of training stuff that we're buying, and basically their rituals, like when going to bed and stuff, and when they've been well behaved.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, the Frenchie's like so acclimatised to it now. He just literally will wait next to the treat. Go out and do his business at night,
Come back.
and then come back and sit straight next to the treat tin now, and then eat it straight to bed.
Well, that's
I can live with that.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah. My partner's got this terrible habit of getting the dogs up by giving them a treat, which I don't do.
Yeah.
So when I'm away, the dogs get fat and they're whippets, but everything is by the treat. Yeah. But it does mean also that when I come in and they're just staring at me and then staring at the treat bag, I think, okay, I'll give you one then. I give them one and they're still staring at me, and I realise they can count. If I give them 3, then they'll walk away. So he's learned that, they've learned that they expect 3 treats. So I'm breaking things up into 3 bits.
I'm not convinced the Frenchie's that smart. The Vizsla might be, I think, but yeah, I think bribing them is good, but obviously in You need to keep them active as well, because otherwise, you say the pounds do pile on, don't they?
They do. I mean, one of the things I do like about these treats, though, is you're also giving them lots of different micronutrients. You know, if you're giving them fish one day, you can give them a bit of rabbit another day. All of those things are really important in the diet.
I think if I kept giving them the same thing over and over again, they would not be interested. They like the variety.
Like we do.
Yeah,
Like we do.
exactly.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought dogs were creatures of habit, and the same things would always work. But not true.
No, we've recently had to change his dog food purely for the fact that even if you like change the toppings and stuff that you put on top of it, you know, the dry food now, from his perspective, he'll walk away from it.
Absolutely.
And then that puts pressure on us because we have to whip it away because the visitor will get it. So it's a nightmare.
There you go.
Good stuff.
Cheers. Thank you
so
very much for your business. See you then.
All right, pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Next challenge is getting the Frenchie out. Come on, let's go. Birds.
See ya.
Thank you.
Right, in this box here, we've got rabbit ears. They are, you know, literally it's just cut off a rabbit's head, so it's got all the fur and the collagen, and they're hard. And with my 2 whippets, I give them one of those at the end of every day, because what's amazing about it, it's not too much calorific value, but all that fur cleans their guts right out. And, you know, some people are a bit squeamish about that, and like, oh, I don't know if my dog will like it. But actually, if your dog was out in the wilds, it would be eating something with the fur on it, and it wouldn't be cooked, it would be raw. So most dogs love it, they're absolutely fine with it. Next thing we've got here is chicken's feet. We've got cow's tracheas, buffalo horn.
Buffalo, that's exotic.
Somebody said to me the other day, oh, is that legal though? And I'm like, it's not an African buffalo. It's the kind of buffalo that produces mozzarella. So it's a buffalo that is already in the, I think they're water buffaloes. Anyway, they're already in the human meat industry. That says cow hooves, but it's not, it's pig's ears. It's jumbo pig's ears. This is cow's hooves, which are really, really good for dogs to chew on when they just need something to chew. Some dogs, like, it's a self-soothing thing, a little bit like biting your nails that some people do. We've got dried fish skin cubes. These
I would
sound
never
amazing.
have put fish with dogs. I don't know why.
I know, but it's really good
but
for
dogs
them.
really like fish.
They love it. Oh, look, this is one of my favourite dogs coming. This is Mouse. Mouse is gorgeous. I met Mouse when he was so baby, he was still in arms. Hello, Mouse.
So what kind of dog is Mouse?
Mouse is a half greyhound, half Saluki.
So they're the dogs that run.
He's a runner, yeah, very much so.
It's okay, Mouse.
What is it?
Tell you what, why don't you give him a treat?
What is it?
See what happens. Would you be able to do that? Mouse, look what's in his hand.
What is it? Look.
Look, there you go.
Oh, look at this.
So if that's a glow in the dark ball, does this mean that you take Mouse out for walks in the dark?
Good question. The glow in the dark quality is not what I'm after. It's the superior bounciness.
Superior bounciness.
Yes. We had a slight. Had this before, and we didn't even know it was glow in the dark until it got dark.
Oh,
So
cool.
good, so
Yeah,
bouncy.
good.
And also, he's rubbish at catching stuff, so he kind of just bounces it further and
Follows
sort of
around, yeah.
sniffs it around.
I think it takes a while for them to actually develop that skill.
Yeah, he's occasionally he's getting better at, like, on the second or third bounce he'll snatch it.
Yeah.
He can't, like, actually.
Mine are going to be 4 in August, and they're just now
Oh, really?
getting a click of,
Okay.
you know, catch it, bring it back, all of that business.
Yeah. Let's get a sausage roll as well.
Okay.
What's going
on? Sausage roll.
What are you being so chatty?
What kind of dog is this? Can you describe it?
She's a Dalmatian, a liver-spotted Dalmatian.
She was one of 11. Her mum was my dad's dog, so I've had her since she was a little white spot. And now she's a brown and white. So.
Really? You clever dog. Did you change the colour of your spots? Did you do that all by yourself?
Well, they're born without spots, right? They're just
Are
like
they
white
born without
bloods.
spots?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
I
all
didn't
born
know.
white, and then they
Oh,
kind
how
of come through.
cute, man. It's like
Yeah.
colobus monkeys.
Yeah.
Their babies are pure white.
Yeah, exactly.
And what have you come in for today for Mally?
Ah, to have a look.
Oh,
So this is treats. This is
Oh,
not.
no, sorry, that's
treat
fish skin.
okay, good.
You can
Okay.
get that recording in a minute because that sounds just phenomenal. I love that sound.
It is great,
She
isn't
loves
it?
it. She's a Hoover.
It's these. I've
Loose
had these
crumb.
before. She loves them. Yeah.
Do you want a bag with a handle for that?
No, that's fine. I got them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye,
Have a
Molly.
good day.
Yeah, you too. Cheers. Bye.
Does anyone ever bring in a cat and a dog at the same time?
We've never had a cat and a dog at the same time, but we've had people bring their cats in here. So people carry their cats. Some people carry their cats in special sort of carriers, and they come here sometimes. Well, for the treats, we do some really gorgeous treats for them.
Are cat owners and dog owners different kinds of people?
Yes, very different. Very, very different. Let me think. Number one, I suppose, as a business, they're not spending as much on their pet as people with dogs. But then dogs go out, they need harnesses, they need coats, they need a lot more food than a cat, obviously. Dog owners are more talky. Definitely, dog owners are more conversational than cat owners. Definitely, there's absolutely no doubt about that when I'm thinking about it. If I think about the conversations I have here, it's almost always with people who own dogs rather than people who are cat owners tend to be very specific about what they want. I think partly because cats are a lot more fussy than dogs, so they know what their cats want, and if we haven't got it, they'll wait until we have, or they'll get it from someone else, I guess, basically. But
It's almost as if you're describing the difference in character, because people always think about cats as more doing their own thing
yeah,
and quieter,
yeah.
and dogs as more kind of like, let's do something together.
Absolutely, I think that is a big difference.
We're just watching a postman get out of his van just next to the van that we're in. He's just pulled up to deliver letters. Postman and dogs, never a good mix.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And in fact, recently I used to walk a gorgeous dog who was raised to patrol a traveller site. She's half whippet and half staffy, so she's very strong and very fast. And she cannot stand a postman. And she must be able to see red, because when I'm walking her, she's hyper vigilant, always looking around. If she sees red, or you know those big red sort of trolleys that postmen sometimes tie up to post, if she sees that, her hackles immediately go up, and I have to divert her. So, you know, from a dog's perspective, the postman is somebody who just every day comes to the door, makes a funny noise at the door, drops something through it, and then goes away. So it's infuriating for a dog. That person's not coming into the house. What are they doing? The dog doesn't understand that there's a communication coming through the letterbox. So yeah, there is a thing. That guy there, and that postman there, though, he comes here every day. And this is one of the things I love about this job as well, is that there are people, it's almost like another universe, another kind of ecosystem of people whose lives or working lives are lived on the street somehow. And as a dog walker, as a postman, so many postmen on the streets I know and I say hi to. I might not know their name, although I do know some of their names, but I will say hi to them because I'm walking dogs at the same time that they're delivering, and we're always crossing paths. And that's another interesting thing about that kind of work, is that you become really aware of these other, you know, like, is it service industry part, you know, part of the whole kind of serving of life going on in your community that you might not really recognise too much unless you're part of it, and you become part of it as a dog walker.
How are you here? Why are you here? What led you to this point? Did you ever envisage yourself sitting in this van here?
Okay, so no, I never envisaged myself sitting in this van because this van is fairly new. It's only existed, this business in a van has only existed for about a year and a half. But I met this lovely guy called Aziz, who I met him through another friend actually. She bought some treats for my dogs, and she told me where she bought the treats from, and it's from this guy who's got a business on a boat. So I got to meet him, got to know him, and started buying my treats from him. And then sometime later, he got a van, so I used to see him in the different places with his van, chat. And then one day he said to me he's looking to expand and he will be looking to employ another member of staff. And did I know anybody who might be interested? And I'm like, well, I would be interested. He says, what, really? I said, yeah, seriously, I would love to do this job. 2 weeks later, he called me up. He says, would you be up for starting like really soon? I said, totally, man. So I just walked into it one day. He spent some time training me, and then off we went.
How does this job compare to other jobs you've done in the past?
So the jobs I've done in the past have been in public health, very, very much about community development, engaging with communities, engaging with people. I've done youth work, and I've worked in a hospice where I've worked with volunteers in the community. But a lot of that work means you're also at a desk from 9 until 5 or 10 till 6 or whatever in an office, and you might be hot desking. I've worked for the local authority as well. And that kind of work, I mean, I have to say, the compassionate neighbours work I was doing in the hospice, that was very, very, very rewarding, because you could see with your eyes and with your, you're in the space where you could actually see the positive impact of the work you're doing. Whereas the other work I was doing in public health and in the local authority, you don't really see the direct impact of what you're doing until much later down the line, by which time you're on another project. So you can't really appreciate it so much. What I like about this job is direct feedback all the time. I'm having very, very, very positive interactions all the time. And it's really basically about interacting with like-minded humans. And, we might be completely different in our interests or our background or where we live. I've no idea where most of my clients live or what their home lives are like. But on this level, we all have the same thing in mind. We are all interested in supporting the dog community, the dogs, and looking after them. Hello. That's all right. Come in.
Really?
This is Jodie.
Hello.
How are you? We're just
One of our
recording a
clients.
conversation. Please continue.
Okay, I am seeking out some very fluffy rabbit ears for my doggy.
And they're literally rabbit ears with the fluff on.
Yes. Yeah, they are. This is really good for their kind of intestinal health. So the fur kind of like gathers up potentially sort of parasites and things and kind of can draw them out. So she has one of these every day, typically in the morning, but I ran out this morning, so she had a rabbit lung this morning. That's a treat. And yeah, so I have a 2.5-year-old rescue from Romania. She's been here like a year and 2 months now, and her name's Janu. And yeah, she's marvellous.
What's her character?
What's her character? She's quite, for a young dog, she's actually quite self-contained. But she does have a lot of like joyfulness about her. She does play really well with other doggies and things. But she's also got this sort of like calmness to her as well. So she's quite an interesting creature, really. She's almost like two dogs in one.
Actually, how has she changed or otherwise your life? What difference has she made to your life since she's been part of your life?
Well, I had another rescue dog before called Lulu, who I had for almost 17 years, and she died very suddenly in January last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That's okay. And we had a great time together, but it did really hit me very hard. And I've not really known grief quite like that. And someone who maybe is listening might think, well, how could you have so much grief for like an animal? But she'd been by my side. We've been together for almost 17 years. So, yeah, it really knocked me sideways. And long story short, I knew of my family member and friends as well whose one dog had got knocked over, another dog had died of old age, and they got a dog quite quickly, and it really helped in the grieving process. So I was just kind of looking at websites of like puppies and dogs. There were so many cute ones out there, like literally thousands. And then I happened to stumble across this one picture of Janu, who I have now, and it was weird. It's almost like when you meet someone you know there's going to be a lifelong friend or a partner or something. It was like that, and I kind of panicked, and I sent a message to the mobile number, and I thought she was in Peterborough, and I got a message 5 minutes later saying, if your home checks out, she's yours, which was very quick, and I was a bit like, oh, I'm not quite ready yet, because I was still in the sort of thick of things relative to Lulu. Anyway, it turns out she was in Romania, and she turned up a month later, so I had like a good sort of 6 weeks to... And then she just really helped, like hugely. in reorganising the grief, I guess. Reorganising it into or towards, caring and loving for something else, another creature, really helps in processing the loss. And it's not like a replacement. And because she's a very different dog, but she's absolutely wonderful. And I don't know, she just brought everything back into balance again, helped me to find that, because for 17 years my life had been organised, obviously work and things like that, but structured around my dog.
Another living creature in your life.
Yeah, because it was just the two of us. I mean, I have various boyfriends and that over the years. But she'd been a sort of like constant.
Your partner.
Yeah, so even just sort of getting up and walking around the park and not having that. I was getting up and walking around the park on my own, just feeling sad, thinking, and then so having her just made a huge difference, because, it just helped in processing it. And she's wonderful. She's an amazing creature.
It's interesting you say that about the grief when your dog died. So I had my Whippet, who was like your first dog was, but she didn't last that long.
Yeah.
She chased a fox out of a park, and you can't call a Whippet off a fox. You just
No,
cannot do
it's
it.
not
There's
happening.
nothing. You could give it the best meat in the world, not
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
And off she went, through the fence, across a road, got hit by a car, died instantly. And I just collapsed. And that was it. It's almost as though every bone had gone to jelly. Just literally collapsed. And it's an unbelievable grief, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable grief.
Quite often, people in public places, in parks, see dogs and their owners as a nuisance. They come and nick their picnic, or people minding out for small kids, etc., etc. Is there always going to be that division between people who have dogs and understand dogs and people who don't, who are always a bit wary?
It's something that I would say most people I speak to who are dog owners, most of us are very, very, very... First of all, we're all very, very aware that some people are frightened of dogs. So, for example, when I see people instantly reacting... I've got small little black Whippets. They're not that terrifying. But I sometimes see children who have got an instinctual fear of dogs that they've picked up from their family. And not just myself, I know a lot of people who do this. We will quieten our dogs, put them on, keep them on the lead, and invite the child to come and, maybe stroke the dog or see it. And we try to break that sort of thing that all dogs are dangerous. As far as picnics are concerned, I have got Whippets. There's no way I can let my dogs off in a park when there's picnics going on. So this means very, very early morning walks or very late evening walks when it's picnic season, which is like any time the sun's out, basically. And sometimes we grumble about it, but it does mean that you're getting up earlier. And for example, the other day I was with my partner in Victoria Park. Before the dawn, actually, the sun was coming up. It was before 5 a.m. and we managed to find a gate into Victoria Park that was open on the canal. So we just went in there, and it was gorgeous. It was absolutely stunning. We were the only people there. All the geese were out, all the ducks were out, like paddling around on the grass. And as the sun's coming up, it's hitting the tops of the trees, and then you could see the colour coming down as the sun was going up, the brightness of the trees. And then the squirrels, as their nests got warm, the squirrels were coming out of the trees as well. It was just such a beautiful moment that you don't catch unless you're up that early, which is another wonderful thing about owning a dog. Sometimes it's a bore to have to get up and walk your dogs, but at the end of the day, once you're out, you're out. So you see every seasonal change. You see, you pass the same tree every day, for example, and you notice how it's changing, and the little tiny little green buds coming out, and then the blossom coming out. So it's, much as it can sometimes be a bit of a chore having dogs and having to take them out left, right, and centre, it's actually really beneficial. You're getting your nature experience. The other thing you're getting, which I think is really fundamental, is that if you have a dog, wherever you go, somebody will smile at you. You don't even know their name. You might have a conversation. It'll be a random conversation about nothing at all, but you've had an interaction. You've had a positive interaction with another human being. Because if you're a single person and you're an isolated person and maybe a lonely person, it's very difficult to just strike up conversation randomly with somebody. But if that person's got a dog, you can go and talk about the dog. It's a very neutral area, and people don't mind. Most people don't mind if you want to chat and say, oh, what a lovely dog, or whatever. But I'm having these conversations every single day. I have amazing conversations with people.
It is true that people with a dog do attract conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, either with other dog owners. There's always somebody who will want to have a little chat. If you're talking to strangers, if you're having conversations with strangers, you are opening yourself to other points of view, other experiences, and you're broadening your horizon, and you're broadening your kind of your experience of the world and how other people experience the world. And I think it helps you to be more in perspective.